I'm 29, work as a junior architect in a small firm, and I've always considered myself the kind of person who notices details. That morning, it was my birthday. Nothing particularly special. Just another Tuesday, but my roommate Mara insisted we do something small. She booked a private room at a local bar for a casual get-together with a few coworkers and close friends. I remember sitting on the edge of my bed that morning, sipping coffee, scrolling through messages, feeling a quiet sense of contentment. The sun was just coming in through the window, soft and gray from an overcast sky. It wasn't the kind of day that screamed something terrible is about to happen, and that's why it all felt so surreal in retrospect. I dressed casually, something neat but unremarkable, and told myself to enjoy the evening. Even then, I had a faint unease in the back of my mind, like a fly buzzing near your ear you can't quite catch. I shrugged it off as birthday jitters, or maybe the lingering stress from work. I took the subway downtown, earbuds in, listening to some old jazz playlist. The ride was unremarkable, people tapping on their phones, a child crying near the doors, someone loudly debating politics on speakerphone. I remember the smell of coffee from a vendor cart in the station, faintly bitter, mixing with the metallic scent of the tracks. When I arrived at the bar, Mara was already there, fussing with decorations. She waved, smiled. I waved back. A few coworkers arrived shortly after, bringing small gifts and joking about my advanced age. Everything felt casual and warm, the kind of normal evening that lulls you into a sense of safety. The bartender, a young guy named Tim, was chatty and accommodating. I ordered a beer and chatted with him about a recent renovation in the neighborhood. Mara had organized a playlist for the party, and soft music played in the background as people mingled. I remember noticing the details: a birthday banner hanging slightly crooked, the scent of fried food mingling with the faint tank of spilled beer. Nothing seemed out of place. It was ordinary, perfect even. I kept thinking about how mundane it all was, how nothing like the stories you read online ever actually happened to people like me. The first odd thing happened when I went to the restroom. On my way back, I noticed a man standing in the hallway outside the private room. He wasn't someone I recognized. He looked off, not threatening, not overtly sinister, but the kind of presence that makes your skin crawl without reason. He was wearing a plain dark hoodie, and his hands were stuffed in his pockets. He wasn't looking at anyone in particular, just standing there. I paused, and he met my gaze briefly, just long enough to make me think, who is this? Then he looked away. I assumed he was maybe a late arrival for another party, or someone just passing through. The bar had multiple rooms, so I didn't think much of it. I walked past him, feeling a faint, prickling sensation on the back of my neck. When I glanced back, he had shifted slightly, but still wasn't doing anything. I shook my head. Birthday paranoia. The rest of the night started normally. People laughed. I opened presents, blew out candles. Yet every so often, I caught glimpses of that same figure. He wasn't hovering, but somehow he was always just on the edge of my peripheral vision. Every time I turned my head, he would be somewhere else, in the same general area, always watching. By the time the night was halfway over, the unease had grown. I tried to stay near the center of the room, where friends and Mara were clustered. But no matter where I moved, I could feel the pressure of him nearby. At one point, I excused myself to get a drink, only to find him leaning against the wall at the end of the hallway, facing me. He didn't move when I passed. I kept my gaze forward, tried to act natural. When I returned with my drink, he was gone. I told myself he'd left, or maybe was in another room. Later, I noticed a slight scratch on the wooden panel near the entrance to the private room. It looked fresh. I have no idea if he had touched it or if someone else did, but my stomach sank. My mind began running through possibilities. Could he be following me home? Was he waiting for a moment when the room was empty? A friend, noticing my discomfort, asked if I was okay. I shrugged, laughed it off, trying to convince myself it was paranoia. But the room felt smaller, suffocating. Every laugh and cheer from my friends sounded distant, like I was underwater. The worst part came near the end of the night. Most people had left, and only a handful remained, including Mara. I went to check my phone in the hallway when I heard a quiet rustle behind me. "Hey," a low voice said. Not a friend's voice. I froze, my heart hammering. I turned slowly. There he was, hoodie dark, face partially obscured by the shadow, but unmistakably watching me. "You forgot something," he said. I felt a chill run down my spine. I don't think so," I stammered. My voice sounded ridiculous, even to me. He stepped closer. I noticed the faint scent of alcohol on him, or maybe it was cologne. My brain scrambled for an explanation. I took a careful step back, trying to maintain eye contact. "I think you have the wrong person." He smiled, slightly not friendly, but not aggressive either. "Nope. I saw you earlier," he said. "Thought I'd make sure you got home safe." I could feel the lie in his words. My instincts screamed at me to move, to run. I turned and bolted back into the main room, shouting Mara's name. My friends were shocked, trying to understand what was happening. I grabbed my coat and keys, dragging Mara with me, muttering about calling the police. We left the bar quickly. Outside, the night was cold and wet with a fine drizzle. I could feel the adrenaline pumping through me, shaking my hands as we fumbled to unlock my apartment door. I reported the incident to the police, but they were dismissive. Nothing concrete, no evidence. "Probably just someone drunk," they said. I couldn't sleep for days, constantly checking my locks, triple-checking every corner of my apartment. Months later, I still haven't seen him again. But sometimes, when I'm walking down the street at night, I feel the same prickling sensation, the sense of being watched. Birthdays are supposed to be happy, safe. Mine became a lesson in how easily normal can turn frightening. I've learned to trust my instincts, but I still wonder what if he hadn't let me leave so easily. Sometimes I catch myself glancing at shadows in hallways, imagining him there, smiling, waiting, and I know he was never really gone.